Puff Daddy's lawyer recently came out. I don't know if he's making his case good or bad, but let's hear about it. So here we go. We go to CBS Morning.
Here in New York, Sean Diddy Combs is in jail waiting for his October sentencing. The jury in his sex trafficking and racketeering trial cleared him of those serious charges, but convicted him on 2 counts related to prostitution. In his first interview since the trial, his lead attorney, Mark Agnifilo, sat down with Jerika Duncan to answer questions. She is here with us right now. Jerika, good morning. So the topic of a pardon from President Trump came up. What did he tell you?
Well, that's right. Good morning. Good morning to everyone. A senior White House official declined to comment on, quote, speculation and told us any decision on pardons would come from the president himself. Combs' attorney, Mark Agnifilo, said he has not talked to the Trump administration about it. You mean to tell me?
Now, here's the thing, right? Everyone knows that Trump may or may not eventually pardon Diddy, depending on how the sentencing go. Money talks, and Diddy has a lot of it. All right, lot to donate to whatever cause Trump wants to pardon him for trafficking prostitutes, because that's what the jury considered Cassie, a prostitute.
That you really have nothing to do with a possible pardon right now?
Nothing. I have nothing to do with a possible pardon.
What is Sean Combs saying about the possibility of a pardon?
I think he knows I'm not political. We've never discussed it other than I tell him what's in the news about it. But, you know.
And what's his reaction? Does he laugh? Does he say, let's look into it? What does he say?
Go tell him that I need a pardon. Go tell him I deserve a pardon. That's what he said.
Tell him I deserve a pardon. He might get it, though, in all honesty.
Last month, 55-year-old Sean Diddy Combs was convicted on 2 federal counts of prostitution-related offense linked to 2 ex-girlfriends, including Cassie Ventura, a key witness for the prosecution. But Combs was acquitted on the top charges of sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy, avoiding the possibility of life in prison.
It's not over until we get him out.
Lead defense attorney Mark Agnifilo says he's now focused on Combs' sentencing day in October.
That sentencing day is going to be major. And like I said, I'm anticipating Puff getting anywhere from 2 to 3 years. Because remember, the judge has a bias, and we all saw Diddy beat Cassie. But Diddy is not necessarily being sentenced for beating Cassie.
How are you preparing him?
So, I tell him what the guidelines are, and the guidelines are about 2 or 3 years. And I tell him, the judge could go above the guidelines.
Do you have any regrets in how you tried this case?
It's a good question. Not really. Not really.
You called the relationship between Combs and Ventura a great modern love story.
Now, this is a setup question. She got him? No, she's going to cook him. And do you think it was a great American love story? Hell no. That shit was tumultuous, dare I say violent.
Ventura says she was raped, physically abused, and became addicted to drugs because of Combs.
I think that's what makes it. The rape we vehemently deny. And I know I respect that she said that. I don't think the jury concluded that happened. In terms of the...
Hey, you just leaned on the jury. The jury concluded it didn't happen.
The drugs and the other stuff, I think that's what makes it a modern love story. I think she very much loved him, and I know he very much loved her.
Cassie Ventura's attorney told us that Agnifilo's description of the relationship is a, quote, complete disgrace and affront to survivors of domestic violence. Now, we covered a lot more in this interview. Agnifilo said that he talks to his client just about every single day. He told us that Combs is focused on his family and wants to one day get back into performing at Madison Square Garden. This interview was about an hour long.
Bro, I couldn't believe, he's in jail thinking about performing at Madison Square Garden. He is cooked for that.
He also told us that Combs did want to testify. Obviously, he did not. That the sex videos he believed helped the defense, and said that those civil court costs are going to add up for him, and said, quote, Combs has the tremendous misfortune of having lawyers all around him all the time.
And he wants to be on stage. Sean Combs.
That's what the attorney said. Yeah.
Bro, Diddy got his priorities all messed up. Now, let's get to the letter that was written by one of his girlfriends, the third witness, who didn't even testify. let's read this, and I want to hear y'all opinion, especially I know we got a couple women in the audience that watch. So let's hear it. Dear Your Honor, my name is Virginia Huyen, and I'm writing this. Hold on, give me a second. I am writing this as the person identified as victim 3 in this case. I have known Sean Combs for many years in both personal and professional capacity. From that experience, I have seen him primarily as a father, a family man, and a businessman, roles that he has always striving to uphold. I provide this letter to share my observations about his character, to respectfully request the court permit his release on bond while the case proceeds. So she like, babe, let my man out. I acknowledge and respect Mr. Combs and stands accused, and the courts must weigh public safety, the integrity of the legal process. At the same time, I believe it's important for the court to have full picture of who he is beyond the allegations. Whew. Our relationship was not, like many, was not always perfect. We experienced ups and downs, and we made mistakes, and mistakes were made, but was willing to acknowledge his mistakes and make better decisions in the future. Over the years that followed, he made visible efforts to become a better person and to address the harm he had caused. By the time our relationship ended, he embodied an energy of love, patience, and gentleness that was markedly different from his past behavior. To my knowledge, he had not been violent for many years, and he has been committed to being a father first. Damn, she like, bro, this is what you want, man. Like, this is what you want. This is a woman who is I would classify as a ride or die. I am writing because I do not view Mr. Combs as a danger to me or the community. This is his first criminal case. Throughout the investigation and proceedings, he has been cooperative, respectful, and compliant. He has substantial ties to his family and the community, including children who depend on him for emotional and financial support. Granting him bond would allow him to continue caring for his family and fulfilling his responsibilities while still subject to court supervision. I want to assure the court that if released, I believe Mr. Combs would adhere to all conditions imposed and would not jeopardize his freedom for the well-being of his family. Allowing him to be at home will also support the healing process for all involved. I respectfully ask you to consider these factors when deciding his eligibility. Thank you for consideration. Virginia. Now, this was actually, I guess, good. Now, sure. I mean, maybe a lawyer wrote it. Her lawyer wrote it. And she submitted it, signed it, and stamped it. But here is one of Diddy's lawyers actually talking about that letter that I guess was written. Was wrote. Let's hear her out. All right, let's go.
Defense filed the latest motion for bail, which was denied. But in that motion, there was a letter from Gina, a former girlfriend of Sean Combs, who was supposed to be victim number 3. Now, the prosecution, they issued a subpoena on Gina, and she was not called to testify. Prosecutors said ahead of the trial that they essentially had lost touch with her and her attorney. What happened there? Was she ever cooperating with prosecutors, to your knowledge?
That's almost jokeable. It's just, this isn't funny. But if the government wanted to find Miss Gina and bring her into that courtroom, they most definitely would have.
The reason that they didn't call her in because they knew she was still soft on Diddy or had love for Diddy and wouldn't throw him under the bus like Cassie threw him under the bus. 50 Cent baby mama, she like halfway threw him under the bus. I mean, she was just honest about the nature of their relationship. $10,000 a month that she was getting to get her cheeks clapped by, the big BBCs. But this third witness, she was a ride or die for Puff. Why would she probably didn't make a good witness for the state?
So I can't find her. I don't,
Do you know,
the
though?
The government has subpoena power. They have federal agents. They would have brought her in.
Do you know that?
This lawyer's like that. They can't find her. No, they could find her, but they just knew she would hurt their case more than help their case.
To your knowledge, did she ever meet with prosecutors? Was she ever cooperating with their investigation? Because she was in the indictment as victim number 3.
Mm-hmm. So she definitely was in the indictment, and if the government wanted her to come into that courtroom, and if they thought that she had something criminal or negative to say in reference to Mr. Combs, they would have forced her to do so. That's what
100%.
subpoena power is. So, I think the government not calling her speaks for itself, and I think the recent support from her gives you a pretty good insight why.
Very short and sweet. Now, when we get to this part, TMZ actually caught up.
Now looming.
Actually caught up with the lawyer Magnifico after he did the infamous Diddy Wants to Be in Madison Square Garden and talked about sentencing.
For Diddy, he is still behind bars. Sentencing is October 3rd, less than 2 months away. And now the question, what is going to happen when the judge sentences him? Diddy will certainly get minimum a year in prison, I would think. I think between a year and 2, it's possible he'd get 3. I don't think he's going to get more for what he was convicted of, because the fact is, he won this case because the 3 charges that were the basis of this prosecution, he was acquitted on. And the reason he was acquitted is largely the result of the legal work of Mark Agnifilo, who has represented him and held this defense.
100%, dog. 100%. Believe it or not, just because Diddy's in jail is still a big fucking win for Agnifilo. Because Diddy was literally up there fighting for his life. His life. From
the very beginning. He said something about what Diddy is going to do once he gets out of prison, possibly, earlier this week. And it's caused quite the stir. So let's bring him on. Mark, welcome back to TMZ Live.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Harvey. I really appreciate it.
I want to play the clip from the CBS show. And I want to get your reaction to it because a lot of people were really stunned by it.
I think he's someone who is always going to strive to do something, exceptional and probably demanding and challenging. But I think the most demanding and challenging thing in front of him right now is to get back with his kids and get back with his mother and the people who love him and miss him. One thing he said he's going to be back in Madison Square Garden.
He said that?
He did. He said to me he's going to be back in Madison Square Garden.
Doing what?
I guess being on stage.
Bro is cooked for this Madison Square Garden comment. I mean, this is actually the clip that went like viral. Puff can't wait to be in Madison Square Garden. I don't know if Puff is going to actually get invited. I'm sure they will because, money talks.
And I said, I'll be there.
And he's going to have like a welcome home concert and thousands of people. It's going to be sold out.
So there were a lot of people who heard that who said, he was acquitted on the big charges, so why not? And there are others who are saying, look, we've seen the Cassie video. We've heard the testimony. They think it's disgusting. What say you?
I think it's a long road. And I stand by both parts of my answer. The road that is right in front of him is we are going to have to fight very hard and argue very intelligently to get him a reasonable sentence where he can get out in relatively short order. I think your assessment is very close to my assessment. And then he's out. So what does he do first? What he does first, and I think he does it for quite a while, is he is now present for his 7 children. He has a beautiful mother who is getting older. One thing that I think is...
You got to lean on the family stuff, man. Like when you're down bad and your back is against the wall, you better be like, oh, I'm a father. My kids need me. None of this, I need to be at Madison Square Garden. Now, the problem is the judge is likely watching Puff's attorney, watching the people around him, social media, monitoring that. and that's likely going to impact his decision. So I don't know if this Madison Square Garden thing is going to help or hurt.
True about my assessment of Sean Combs, I believe he's always going to do something special, something that other people haven't done. And while he did say to me, as I said, that he hopes one day his fortune would take him maybe back to Madison Square Garden, I think that is, if ever, years down the road.
Bro, that shit would that's cap. That shit would be in the first 3 months of his release. He will be there, a welcome back party for Puff.
Word that I used and been using, and I want to use it now, is redemption. And redemption is earned. Redemption is not given. And I think he has done the hard work to earn redemption. And so he's not asking for something for nothing. He's putting the work in. And I believe this is a great redemption story, and that is my hope for him.
You said he's doing the hard work. So, real facts here. He has anger issues and has also had substance abuse issues. Is he getting professional help for both of those right now, and has he been?
So the answer is yes. He has therapists that we have basically lined up for him from the outside. The MDC is very strong in certain areas. One of the areas it's not so strong in, it does not have meaningful programming.
Look, man, Diddy's gonna put the full court press on the judge that he's rehabilitated, and he has a system in play to make sure he never commits an act of violence again against anyone.
And so that is not really available to him on the inside, as though if he were at a traditional post-conviction facility, there'd be more programming for him. So we have put things together. He's working very hard in therapy. We know who his therapists are. We don't seek to break the privilege that they have, but I know that he's working hard on all these issues. As you might remember, we got him into a batterers program even before he was arrested on the federal case. And frankly, I wish he had done that 30 years ago.
I'm trying to put myself in your shoes. When it comes time for sentencing, would you argue to the judge that the best way to get real professional help is on the outside, not the inside, and therefore house arrest or just house confinement might be more appropriate than prison?
That is certainly an argument that
Bro, you know they're gonna shoot for. Look, he gonna be like NBA YoungBoy. How NBA YoungBoy was in Utah and he had to pay for security to keep him confined to his. He's gonna offer all that: ankle monitor, alcohol, drug testing. He will say and do anything to get out of jail.
That I may make. I think I'm certainly going to be asking the judge as a condition of his supervised release that he have appropriate counseling and therapy. I think he needs it. I think he thinks he needs it. And that's the important part. What I think is really irrelevant. He believes that he needs this. He believes that this would make him a better person. And the one thing that he says more than anything else, and he said this consistently for the last 10 and a half months, is I am going to make the most of my time in jail.
So house confinement is something you would seek?
Possibly. I mean, I have to see how our sentencing memo comes together. We have a very busy August and early September lined up for us putting together.
Remember, he gets sentenced in October.
Together what I think will be a very, very important document in the form of this sentencing memorandum. Because it's one thing for a lawyer to tell a story about someone. It's really something quite different to have letters from the people who've known him through the years. And I can tell you, we're collecting some just beautiful letters from people in all different areas of his life. And I'm actually looking forward. I'm humbled and honored by the opportunity to tell this man's story. And I hope I do it the justice it deserves. And
now, here's the thing, guys. With those letters, the judge said there will be no private letters for his sentencing. So if the prosecutor wants to submit letters of sent for why he should be in there for longer from people or potential victims, they won't be submitting them under Jane Doe as the same thing as for the letters of support. So it's going to be interesting who sticks their neck out on line for Diddy. I know Kanye West is going to be one of them who writes a letter in support for Diddy because he was there at the trial supporting him.
Finally, and I wanted to talk to you about this for a long time. You and I had a talk early on in this case, and you took a lot of heat for something. And at the time, I didn't see your end game. I think I see it now. So I want to play the part of the interview that I'm talking about, give you my take on it now, and see if you agree. Here it is. How do you explain 1,000 bottles of baby oil?
I don't know where the number 1,000 came.
The U.S. attorney said it.
I can't imagine it's thousands. I mean, you know, and I'm not really sure what the baby oil has to do with anything.
They're essentially saying it's a lubricant for an orgy.
I guess. I don't know what you need 1,000. One bottle of baby oil goes a long way. I don't know what you need 1,000 for. I mean,
Bro, when he was making these baby oil things, I was like, bro, this is not a good look. I thought Diddy was cooked. Just off this alone.
he has a big house. He buys in bulk. You know, I think they have Costco's in every place where he has a home. I mean, have you sat in the parking lot of a Costco and see what people walk out of there with?
Not 1,000 bottles of baby oil.
Bro, you know that baby oil's for orgies, dog.
I don't think it was 1,000. I think it was. Let's just say it's a lot.
So you took a lot of heat for that. And I thought that question was a tough one for you to answer. And I see it very differently now, because I saw what you did in your closing argument, where you mocked the fact that 70 Homeland Security officers were able to seize 1,000 bottles of baby oil and the streets were safer because of it. And you mocked it. And what I didn't realize then, and what I think a lot of people didn't think of then, is that this was a prelude for what you were arguing, which is you made light of it because that ultimately, in a weird way, it became a weapon for you to diminish the prosecution's case. Do I have that right?
You have it exactly right. And if you remember, toward the end,
Was that masterful? Probably, though, right? I mean, you got to be conflicted with Diddy because on one hand, that Cassie video exists. That's why, you know, it's so much scrutiny. If that video never comes out, I'm not sure he even gets arrested.
of the trial, one of the outstanding Homeland Security agent did very, very important work. And I played that up in my cross-examination, that he did hundreds of search warrants in his life. And he was, going after terrorists. I think he was in the unit that dealt with like terrorism and things like that. And I asked him, how many times have you done a search and you recovered Astroglide and baby oil? And he said, one. I said, one in addition to this case? He says, no, this case. And, I wouldn't make light of hard drugs. I wouldn't make light of guns. I wouldn't make light.
Bro, that's still a fucking, like, this is Astroglide right here. This is baby oil.
Of those kinds of things that are actually dangerous because they're dangerous. But baby oil and Astroglide, I mean, one of the things I did in my summation, and this is, I think, what you're referring to, is early on in my summation, I sort of used it as a test balloon for the jury. And I said to the jury, they used all of this show of force. They used this military tactics, but it's all worth it because they got the Astroglide and the baby oil, and the jury laughed. And when the jury laughed, I said, I'm good. I know what I'm going to do from here. I'm going to use the tools in the storyteller's, arsenal, some of which is sarcasm, some of which is, they're different techniques. But the jury, I think, saw it that way.
Well, listen, cannot thank you enough for the...
Hey, man, either way, love him or hate him, he got the dub for Diddy, man. But let me know in the comment section what you guys think. I'll see you next video. Peace.